Hello, Namaste everyone. Har Har Mahadev. Now today I am here to discuss about Venus in the nakshatra of Ashwini. The very first nakshatra, the very first zodiac sign. That's what we are going to talk about today. So before we start, if you guys are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get regular updates. For your personal readings, refer to the link in the description box, www.anmolastrology.com. Under the readings and unique reading section, you can book a personal reading for yourself. Under the courses section, you can enroll for the online courses. All right. So let's get started with this topic of Venus in the nakshatra of Ashwini. Now, before we start, let me first tell you what are you going to get into this video. So Venus naturally represents the second house with the ownership of Taurus, the seventh house with the ownership of Libra. So Venus is the planet that represent your relationships in general, your relationships with women, and your relationship with your family. What's your traditional mindset? What are your traditional values? That's all what Venus represents. Apart from this, Venus is also the significator of your income, your wealth generation. So, Venus also plays an important role to tell you about your wealth, your finances. So many times we just look towards Venus to know about our relationships, to know about our spouse, and specifically the wife. But other than that, Venus has so much to tell us. So, here in this video, we are going to learn about how Venus would represent your karma associated with your relationships, your family, your financial wealth, your financial income, and your financial growth. Also, your traditions. What do you like to eat? What do you like to, have, what kind of lifestyle do you like to have? That's all Venus would represent. Other than this, it would represent the traits of your spouse, the nature of your spouse, the appearance of your spouse, and possibly the profession that you or your spouse might have. So that's what you're going to know about in this video. So now let's move ahead. First, let's know a little bit more about Venus. Then we would proceed with Venus in the zodiac sign of Aries, since it's a very, very important concept to understand that here Venus is coming into a Martian sign and in the very, very first sign. Then we would continue to talk about Venus coming into the nakshatra of Ketu, nakshatra of Ashwini. All right. So Venus represents your karma in love, your karma with relationships. Venus is your devotion. The reason Venus is exalted in the zodiac sign of Pisces or the 12th house is that Venus gets its highest potential in the 12th house or in the sign of Pisces because it is able to devote itself, depend itself on someone or on something, which most probably is spirituality. So Venus represents what makes you feel happy, what makes you feel like you are having a pleasurable experiences, how you're protected, comforted. So Venus is very, it is the earth element and it is the water element also. The aspect of earth element comes with Venus when Venus is all about the materialistic side of life, the wealth, the luxury, the experiences that you have in this world, in this plane, and the emotional aspect that attaches to Venus, your devotion, your protectiveness, your love, your pleasure, your unionship, that all connects to the water tattva. Because Venus indeed is a very, very sensitive planet. All right, so now we have this energy of Venus coming into the energy or the land or the domain of Aries. Now, I'll be totally honest here. Venus in Aries can be very, very ambitious, very spontaneous, can absolutely make a change into the society, can do very well professionally. But at the same time, where it struggles is relationships. Because here it is being influenced by Mars. Your Venus is going into the factor of energy. And before that, just understand this thing. Whichever planet would be in your ascendant or in your first house or into the zodiac sign of Aries, that particular planet is going to have so much of dominance within your personality. Because even if you are governed by any other zodiac sign as your ascendant, Aries will continue to establish your personality. Aries would still represent where your focus, where your energy, and where your personality gets its focus, where your soul goes in a way, because that's the natural first house as per the Kalpurush Kundli. So, if Venus is present in the sign of Aries, this would have a very big impact upon your personality. For today's video, while I'm discussing Venus in Aries and Venus in Ashwini, just understand that this will have a very, very huge impact upon your personality. So, Venus, when comes into the very first sign, this Venus gets all the power and all the focus. Although Venus is a nighttime planet and it doesn't like to be in a fiery sign. It doesn't like to be in the zodiac signs which keep it on its toes. So that's the reason when Venus is in the zodiac sign of Aries, a person tends to get into relationships with an impulsion, with an impulsive decision, and they get out of the relationship or lose their interest out of a relationship also impulsively, aggressively. This Venus's presence in the zodiac sign of Aries means that your karma is basically to understand your own personality, understand your own self through your experiences in love and through your experiences of unionship. That's how you understand what do you need, what do you want through relationships. And that's the process a person goes through. So, a person with Venus in the zodiac sign of Aries has to always be very, very patient when it comes to the matters of love and the decision of the partners. Because it's a very, very passionate Venus. It's a very, very passionate Shukra. This Venus is getting the energy of Mars, and that to the impulsive energy, the aggressive, the passionate energy of Mars. This is not a domain where Venus loves to be in because Venus has to be on its toes. So, the first thing is that people with Venus in the zodiac sign of Aries would have a lot of expectations attached to relationships. They would definitely want, and rather, they have their karma that they are going to establish their personality or find out their choices, their self through their relationships. And these people can be the one who are the initiators of the unionship. Because Venus in the zodiac sign of Aries represents that when you are in love or whenever the matter of love we are talking about, or and rather I would say, and the traits of your spouse are like this, that they are passionate, they are independent, even you feel very independent when you are in love. You feel that, urge and that fire within yourself whenever you are in a unionship. You feel confidence. Somehow your relationships give you that confidence. Talking about the traits of your spouse is going to be spontaneous, adventurous, initiative, independent, aggressive, passionate. always wants to do something. But there comes one problem here. This is in the case of you, and this is in the case of your partner as well. Your partner would start anything, they would not have a habit of completing that particular task. And in your case, if you start something related to your income generation, your career, there will be a habit of not completing it and losing your interest very quickly because it's a very quick sign. It's a sign of transportation. And these people, as in you love traveling. And even it is one of the strongest remedies for a person with Venus and Aries that they need to be out there. Their partner needs to be independent. You need to be independent. You need to be out there. Your partner needs to be out there. Both of you must have your own individuality. And if you are able to understand this, because see, how your moon is placed, that is going to add on a different story. With this Venus, you definitely attract a very independent spouse, very independent partners. And you yourself want that. But what if your moon is placed in a water sign? Then your expectations, emotional expectations increase. Then that individuality basically troubles you, and that creates a conflict within the marriage. So that's the reason you must allow both of you to have a teamwork situation and at the same time have separate individuality of your own. Because with the influence of Mars, there's too much energy which this Venus is carrying that needs to be executed individually and collectively. Your partner would have very good leadership qualities and they would always try to act as a leader. And in fact, you in your relationships would want to be the leader, you would want to lead the relationship. Another thing that acts as a conflict with people in with Venus in Aries is that there is always a sense of authority issues that sustains between two people. Ego battles that sustains between two people because this is the zodiac sign where Sun gets exalted and Saturn gets debilitated. Now let's talk about the Ashwini Nakshatra in particular. So from the 0 degrees to 13 degrees, 20 minutes of Aries, we shall have the Ashwini Nakshatra, the very, very first nakshatra, the nakshatra of Ketu. Now we have the influence of Ketu into this particular placement. So Venus is coming into the zodiac sign of Mars, then coming into the zodiac sign of the nakshatra of Ketu. So there is the influence of Mars and Ketu. Many times I have seen, and I suggest people with Venus specifically in Ashwini Nakshatra to take their time to choose the right partner. Because of the influence of Ketu and influence of Mars, you will be able to sustain the marriage only if you are married to a compatible person. Because indeed, your partner will be competitive, your partner will be rigid, your partner will be spiritual. And to live and understand such a personality, you need to have that sense of maturity. Because when you have Venus into the nakshatra of Ashwini, in the initial years of your life, you act very immaturely and impulsively into your relationships. And this is what you will observe with all the fire zodiac signs that there's always some drama attached to the fire zodiac signs. Nothing comes peacefully or nothing happens peacefully in the life of, or the planet associated with the fire zodiac sign because it's a passionate sign. It's the sign of dharma. It's the sign which has to move, which has to burn. either itself or the other person who is standing in front, or whatever planet is present in the zodiac sign. So that's the reason that these people tend to be very immature in their relationships in the beginning or in the initial years. So I always suggest wait for the right partner, because your destiny is actual to be with a spiritual partner, with a partner who just have a understanding of who you are and how, why you say something. So the understanding, the compatibility becomes very spiritual in nature. That's what people with Venus in Aries basically desire, and they must wait for that. Because I've seen instances of failed relationships or even failed marriages with Venus in the nakshatra of Ashwini. And it's at, I would say, at least wait for 29 years, because 29th year is a very important year for the marriage prospects, or it could go after that, but at least 29th year. All right. So Venus being into this nakshatra of Ketu, this Venus makes you deal with detachment. See, Ketu's influence with this nakshatra of Ashwini is that it is the fire that will bring in light. This is the very first nakshatra. This is the nakshatra ruled by Ketu. That means now your soul has come into this world in, and in regards of relationships, it has to deal with a lot of karma. I always say that the nakshatra of Revati and the nakshatra of Ashwini have the greatest karma, and there things are going to always be moving. Things are always going to be like, there's so much karma that you are going to deal with these two nakshatras, because one is the last nakshatra where you have to complete all the karma and the soul has to elevate, and this one Ashwini is the very first nakshatra where you have just entered into this plane and now you have so much of task to do. So a lot of karma is attached to this particular nakshatra. And that karma you fulfill through your unionship, through your association with others, through your relationships. So, your lesson is to learn how to solve the problems of your own relationships and then be as a guiding source to the others, not just in the matters of relationships, but also in the matters of health related issues, problems with psychology, problems with physical health. That's why you'll see people with Venus in Ashwini Nakshatra have a very good sense of prediction. They can be excellent astrologers, they can be excellent healers. And while we are talking about healers, let's come to the deity of this nakshatra, which is the Ashwin Kumars, the two twins, the twin brothers. One was the healer and one was the prankster. With Venus and Ashwini, you get a spouse that is willing to do anything and everything to protect you. But if you backstab them, if you don't take care of them, that spouse is going to act as a prankster or act as your own competition. So there's always a tug of war. There is always a authority differentiation, and there is always a power struggle that goes on into the relationships of a person with Venus in Ashwini. You will see that, you see the factor that this nakshatra is associated with the deity, the Ashwin Kumars, is that these people either can be like, you can get married to one of the twins, or your partner can have twin personality. One personality which is willing to fight for you, which is willing to fight for the people in need. Another personality which is willing to fight if you attack them. They'll fight to protect themselves. So they can be best of your friends at one moment, and another moment they can become your biggest enemies. That would always depend on how you are giving them the treatment, how you are treating them. So that's a very common trait that you will see in your spouse. Another thing is that since Ashwin Kumars, Ashwin Kumars have the ability, one of them is a healer and has the ability to heal, you will see that you will be very much passionately follow healing. Whether it's healing of the body, whether it's gymming, healing of the, physical self, or it's about nutrition. But definitely in your life, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to health, there's a significant transformation that you experience. Like, I'll take an example. There was recently a video that I was watching where a person struggled through their health a lot because they had a kind of tuberculosis into their, a large intestine, and then they became the the fitness trainer, and they struggled through their own health just to, walk on the path, the destined path for themselves, which was becoming a fitness trainer. So let's talk about the appearance of your spouse here and the possible profession of your spouse here. With the appearance, you would see if you have Venus in the nakshatra of Ashwini, your partner will have a very athletic body. They would have a very optimistic smile. Height wise, they are going to have an average height because most of all Aries individual are on the leaner side, but they have a very, they have average height, and that is in comparison whether we are talking about a female or we are talking about a male. Right. Another thing is their body structure is equivalent, equally proportionate. The upper part of their body is going to be equivalent to the lower part of their body. Since this nakshatra is associated with horse as the symbol, which we are going to talk about, these individuals have very long and sharp nose and very sharp this chin, very sharp chin, and lips which are bended forward. So their face appears to be much like a horse, or the way the structure of the horse is. You would observe that your spouse will have very, very silky, thin, and also will have a little bit of wave to it, just like horses have. I have seen Ashwini people to have beautiful, beautiful hair. And I remember I went to the theater to watch a movie on Krishna recently. If you are living in India, you would know about that movie. There we have, there was an actress which resembled actually a lot with Ashwini Nakshatra. And I told my husband that this is a person who definitely have Ashwini Nakshatra dominated in their chart because of the kind of appearance they have. Like, they have so beautiful and charming, you know, um, features. So they have round eyes which are very sharp on the corner, just like, horses have very sharp cheekbone, and very beautiful hair. That's what is going to be the appearance of the spouse. The possible profession, I would say that Ashwini people, you'll see a lot of entrepreneurs, business analysts, people who are actually the leaders or at the top are the top personals of the company, or they are the one to initiate or pitch in the ideas, the CEOs. They would have Venus and Ashwini. Also, your spouse could be one of these professions. With Ashwini, I've also seen people who are into transportation business, who are also into pilot, you know fighter pilot. They are also into, with Ashwini, I have seen healers, doctors, surgeons, Ayurvedic healers, herbal, herbalists, people who have such a good knowledge of agriculture, herbs, medicinal herbs, Chinese medicines. So, all of these professions can be either in which you are interested, or it could even be the interest of your spouse, because this is the primary. You also have to connect with the seventh lord, or the nakshatra, the zodiac sign of seventh lord. They both of them should coexist to give you a prediction that yes, this is going to be the final profession that your spouse is going to be in. But most prominently, if your Venus is in Ashwini, it would be one of all these professions. All right. Now let's talk about the symbol of this particular nakshatra. So the symbol of this particular nakshatra is the horse head. So by this symbol, we get to understand that how careful, how cautious these individuals are, or you are in relationships and your spouse is as a person. This shows your alertness. This shows your consciousness. So these people, like you people, and even your spouse, would always try to do something in your life. It's very important for you to be alert of your surroundings and to work accordingly and adapt your surroundings as well. That's what it represents. Because a horse has the ability to, to to fall asleep while standing, but still be alert of the surroundings. That's the kind of alertness we would see in your spouse and within you when it comes to your relationships. Somehow, I have always seen people with Venus in the zodiac sign of Aries and into the nakshatra of Ashwini, they attach themselves to a sense of fear, which makes them feel alert 24/7 when it comes to unionship. So you will have a sense of doubt, a sense of, you know, questioning your partner or their dedication towards you. Even sometimes you would question your own dedication towards your career and towards your relationships. Now, lastly, we have the animal associated with this nakshatra, which is the male horse. So, have you seen how a male horse is such a beautiful, like the horse is basically such a beautiful animal, known for its speed, known for how royal it is, royal in its own way, has so much of core strength, had so much of strength in the legs and the feet. Similarly, with the representation of horse as of this nakshatra brings in unasked blessings into your life as you get married. It also shows how productively, how ambitiously a person follows their career. A person follows their life to make a name for themselves. This also shows us that your partner is also going to be an individual who is going to be very much interested into physical activities. Either that's gymming, running, marathons. It becomes extremely important for you and your partner, and for you collectively as a part of your marriage. It becomes very important that how much the marriage is adding on to your growth, how much the marriage is adding on to your routine. This nakshatra makes you very disciplined. This nakshatra makes you set goals when it comes to your relationships. You see those people who look for a competent partner with whom they can establish a legacy for themselves. That's the kind of placement this is. But Ashwini always has dual sides to it. One side, which is very spiritual, which wants that spiritual connection, and one side, which wants to sustain in this world. So, both are going to be present in your choices of love, choices of your partner, and both are going to be present as a part of nature of your spouse. But one thing I would conclude this nakshatra's placement in Venus, like Venus's placement in this nakshatra with, is that Ashwini nakshatra is known for its healing capabilities, its leadership roles. At the same time, this nakshatra is known to be starting something as a leader with great passion, but leaving things or tasks in between and not completing it. So, your karma with your career, like not your career specifically, but wherever you start earning, wherever you start building your wealth, your karma with your relationship, your karma with your family is to be there, to be present there, to complete your karma. You cannot escape it. You cannot leave it in between. You have to face it. That's what is the most important karma associated with Venus and Ashwini. Another thing that I have seen with Venus and Ashwini natives, that they love to have fast running cars, sports cars. And if somehow Jupiter is also associated there, they would like sports XUVs or SUVs. They love to have speed in their life. They love to have that. What do we call it? I don't know how to pronounce it. Adrenal rush, something of that sort. I'm very bad at pronouncing things. I apologize for that, like words. So they're very keen on getting that, right? Another thing you'll see, since it is Venus, it's naturally your second lord. Your speech also becomes very fast, dominating, and competitive. And sometimes you will have a habit of leaving certain words in a sentence or completing a sentence very fastly, very furiously. And even when you debate, when you become argumentative, and this is also one of the natures of this individuals, and even you would observe this to be a nature of a spouse as well. They would also be very fast speakers, very fast eaters, very fast runners, or anything related to their body, their mechanism is going to be fast. Whether it's just eating, it's not running, it's not running, but it's walking fast. Anything of that sort. But definitely, you have so much of karma in this life to be completed. And when I'm talking about karma, it is not the bad karma. It's it's just giving your actions into this world. So you are here to accomplish your goals. You are here to be in relationships, be a part of it, and learn your lesson through it. You are here to understand the patterns of psychology of others. You are here to observe so much and act upon to it. Not just observing like a scientist, but also acting upon it, also creating something. That's why this is the very first nakshatra. Now let's come to the remedies. So, the first remedy, which I've been saying all the way along in this video, the first and foremost remedy is to complete every task you undergo, every task you undertake if you want to enjoy the luxury of Venus Shukra. If you want to enjoy the peace in your relationship, you need to complete everything that you start, or else be a part of a profession in which you have excitement every day. You have a new project, you have new opportunities every day. Another thing, as a part of remedy, is to have a figure of horses. Not five horses, not seven horses, but two horses. Either you can take a picture, I have even suggested certain people with Venus and Ashwini to have a wallpaper on their mobile phone with two twins horses, right? And whether they are running, whether they are, at a certain place, they are static, doesn't matter, but you need to have that wallpaper to activate the energy of Ashwini. All right. Now, another remedy I would say is you and your partner must always be working or doing something either together or individually. Whether that's workout, whether that's being busy in your own careers, whether it's working together, whether it's traveling, whether it's doing spontaneous activities, but always be on a go. Try to indulge yourself and execute your energy within your relationship. Because otherwise, it can be the matter of fights, conflicts, and aggression within your married life. Another remedy I would say is whenever you get married, gift your spouse something made of 22 carat of gold. And even you can wear 22 carat of gold. And even invest your money into gold. That is going to be very fruitful for you. And always, when it comes to relationship, when it comes to marriage, act maturely and not competitively. Try to break this pattern of power struggles when it comes to your relationship, your marriage. All right. So this is the very, very basic information what you can get on Venus in Ashwini Nakshatra. So keep on learning, keep on diving deeper into the subject because nakshatras are just like a big, big ocean and very deep one. There is so much of knowledge present there. All right. So guys, this was my analysis. I hope this is helpful. See you next time. Bye bye. Take care.